Well, let's return to this disagreement and this concern by economists over the rate cut. Michael, I want to ask you about your view of the RBA's decision to cut rates. I spoke to a lot of economists today, very senior ones, highly concerned about this decision.
Well, look, Sharri, there isn't any doubt in my mind that there was political pressure on the board. I mean, let's be frank here. Michelle Bullock, the governor, did not vote for the rate increase. I mean, for goodness sake, let's just call a spade here. As that fellow David Pearl said last night brilliantly on your show and has written, you look at the language of the Reserve Bank Board over the last few months. Look at the language of yesterday's statement. Look at Michelle Bullock's body language yesterday. That was the press conference of a defeated person. I've seen people before having to get up and give press conferences to pretend they support something they didn't vote for. She didn't vote for that decision. As you said earlier, you had Kennedy, you had Rubin, you had Ross, and of the other four members, I would think 3 went with the governor, 2 went with Kennedy. My guess is the vote's 5-4 in favour of a rate increase. That'd be my guess. But she didn't vote for that rate increase.
Someone did put to me today that she might have agreed to it with Stephen Kennedy before walking in to the boardroom meeting. So they might have agreed to present, this is the consensus position we've arrived at, right? So she might have actually voted for it in the room, but had that conversation beforehand. Well,
who would have spoken against it at the board meeting? If you've got the Treasury Secretary and the Reserve Bank Governor saying we strongly agree with this 0.25 rate increase, rate cut.
Well, because the case...
Who was speaking against it?
Well, the case wasn't there. And clearly, the RBA staff, the statement they released was more supportive of a hold, Graham Richardson. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I don't think I can disagree with that. Look, there's always drama over rates. You can't avoid it. And there's always going to be that temptation to accuse the RBA board of making decisions that are politically helpful to the government. But that doesn't necessarily mean that was the aim. Sometimes that's just the right economic decision to make. I mean, my impressions of the board are that they are genuinely independent. I don't believe they just put their hand up when the government says bark.
Yeah, but Steve Kennedy's on the board. He's not independent. He's a political animal. That's how he was described to me today.
Well, yeah, I mean, your definition of independent and mine may be different. But I don't believe that even he just takes his orders from Chalmers.
Oh, no, I don't think he would be given orders from Chalmers. I think he would...
He'd be giving the orders.
Well, I don't know about that either. But I'm told he's highly political, Stephen Kennedy. All right, let's talk about today's major business news. The Whyalla Steel Works has been forced into administration in South Australia. Here was the South Australian Premier, Peter Malinauskas, today.
I look forward to being on the ground. In fact, I'd love to be there now, to be honest. To be able to look in the eyes of people that work at the steelworks and assure them of their future and the fact that they're in a far better position right now than where they were this morning.
Michael, look, you'd be worried that taxpayers are now going to spend more money. The Prime Minister's going there tomorrow with the Premier. We'd invited the Prime Minister to our anti-Semitism summit. He said he was going to be in Adelaide, presumably. You can only assume he knew this was coming. That's why he's going to be in Adelaide. But this is a hit to Labor's renewables agenda, isn't it?
Another one. I mean, green hydrogen, these sort of venture capital schemes that should be the foray of venture capital, private equity, companies, debt providers, risk takers. Why Chris Bowen has to keep investing hundreds of millions into these schemes? I mean, he's losing all of this money. I mean, he reminds me of an amateur walking into a Las Vegas poker game full of professionals and they say an absolute mug's walked in, an absolute mug, we can fleece him. Well, that's what Bowen looks like to me. He's given $1 billion to build panels, solar panels, what, cheaper and better than the Chinese. I mean, this bloke just throws money away, and there is nothing in his career which would tell you that this bloke has any idea what he's doing. The worst immigration minister ever, a terrible shadow treasurer. If Chris Bowen fronted up for a job interview and he said, I want billions to spend on something, why would you give it to him? You'd say, Chris, everything else you've done's failed, my friend.
Hard to argue with that, Richo.
No, I think he has a record of failing up, does Bowen. He just keeps going up no matter what happens.